got two choices. You can either get right up in his face like this, and just kind of corkscrew on it, but see how it's still gonna like it. Well, that's one way to do it, boys. So let's do a little lesson here while we wait for CIG to reset the account. So where's my button? There it is. There it is. Okay, that works. That works. Okay, good. Okay, so let's... Oh, shit. Let me draw... So, let's draw... Because usually the flight patterns are orbiting. So this right here, let's say, would be our flight pattern for an enemy... Oh, damn. Let's draw it up here a little more. Flight pattern kind of goes like this. Right? So this would be... Let's draw... What's easy ship to draw? Like Gladius, I guess, right? Kind of looks like that. It looks like that. And then it has its wing. Like that. Right? Kind of. It comes in like that. And it's got its dual engines. It's got its nose gun and it's got its side guns. That's sorta, and then it's got its side wing here too. There you go. It's a Gladius, sorta, right? And center mount body here. Yeah. So you should do movement graphics while you doing combat so you can link for people to check. I could, yeah, we could do something like that. Okay, so there's your enemy Gladius, right? So sometimes what'll happen is you will be... I want you to imagine this red line is the flight path, like the flight path. So you have to visualize where their path is. And then what you have to do is, again, it's always about creating deflection against his eyes, right? So if I'm here, right, and then I move to here, I've moved quite a bit of distance, but relative to him, the angle change is very low, right? So the distance here is only, I don't know, like 10 degrees, right? But I moved like anywhere from like 1,000 meters or who knows how far, right? So it's all relative angle change to him, right? So what you want to do with S turns is you want to create those angles. So if he's sliding in this direction laterally, right? What we want to do is we actually want to strafe down against that, so we create that 90-degree angle, right? Okay, so it's all orientation, right? Because if he's sliding this way, what we want to do is we want to create that, because again, we're fighting in 3 dimensions, we're not fighting in 2 dimensions, right? So that little angle, so if you were to draw this, kind of visualize it out, right? This would be kind of a half circle. That's your 90 degrees, right? So you roll down, you create the bottom of that S, and then you roll up over it, and then you roll down over it, and then you roll up over it, and you roll down on it. And during these position changes here, you're pushing with your bottom thrusters so that you're always getting the biggest deflection, right? Now this point right here, you'll notice a lot of times guys will get sucked into this, right? Where they'll do their S turns, and there's a point here where, again, see how this is kind of flying flat, right? Like this is kind of, like he's doing a lot of movement here, but he's flying relatively static in terms of the enemy. And that's what you want to avoid. And that's the tricky part. That's the really tricky part about S turns in general, right? So what you want to visualize is, if we go back here, okay, is when he makes that turn, right? We have two choices. We can stay with him, okay, and we could try to play the turn battle where we fly basically against his... Oh, shit. Wrong. There you go. We fly against his vector, and we try to continuously keep looking for this zone here, right? which is the slot, right? We're always trying to get into that spot, right? So he might get a little excited and slow down and start turning and all that stuff. And the point is to stay on the outside of that turn, right? Because if you come off to the inside, now the fight starts to reverse, right? So then he can either continue on, right? Which then puts you in a smaller circle, and then you have what's called fighting inside the bubble, right? Or you can reverse it where now you start to go this way around him, right? And he starts going this way, and you're basically creating that circle fight again, and you go upside down on each other, right? That might be a little confusing, but it's part of the visualization process when I say you have to like kind of see the movement, right? So if you're, let's see here, if you're trying to execute the S turn, think about it this way. Instead of following his flight path, right, find out where he's going and make that direct line, right? Because instead of following him through that turn, what you can do is you can kind of visualize, okay, we know he's going to be around here somewhere, right? So what we can do is we want to S turn towards our target in this manner, okay? So we want to kind of cut that angle off so that he's always looking at us like this, right? Which means the angle changing is high enough that it doesn't kind of bottom out, right? And by bottoming out, I mean like when you kind of come around the bottom of the turn and, you know, you might be here and you're trying to get closer to him, but he's drifting this way and you're drifting that way. So basically you've created a very static environment where there's not a lot of like movement against each other. Then you start going into corkscrews as you close the distance, right? So when it comes to actually like pulling the maneuver itself off, I have a graphic for this, right? So if I go to pictures, where is it? Training aids. There's S turn, S turn, S turn. Is that the one I'm looking for? No. Here it is. Okay, so we'll open this in Open and Paint on that. So let's say here's your position, right? Let's turn the music down. So let's say this is your position, right? So you know that, let's say, so previous video, right? Let's say he's drifting, right? So he's drifting this way. I'll show you here. So let's say, okay, so if he was drifting this way, so his flight path was this, and he's moving this direction, this would be probably not the best kind of turn because, you know, he's probably coming up that way. So you're basically matching his movement. If you match his movement, the ship with the bigger guns and the bigger armor and all that stuff is going to have the advantage, right? So the Hornet will win against the Arrow in this situation because the Hornet has more DPS and more shields. But that's the only situation where the Arrow has a disadvantage against the Hornet, right? What you'd want is something more like this, right? Where his strafe direction is coming from this direction, right? So he's strafing up, and you've created that angle change, right? Where you're moving on a right angle to him. You're pushing this way, he's pushing this way, which then forces the fight to go into a roll or a reset, right? Does this make any sense to you guys, or am I just talking gibberish? Like, you got to let me know, because the chat's not very talkative right now. So either all of you guys are listening intently, or you're just like, oh my God, Avenger, shut the fuck up. Right? So if I move quickly, roll in the opposite direction, I'm rolling to aim and applying more upstrafe when they put their nose on it. Does that kind of work? Almost there, right? So I need to explain this a little better. So the trick with S turns in general is like, it has everything to do with the visualization of the flight pattern. So I don't always do S turns, right? But if they're done well, you know, it'll help. said listening intently. It says trying my best. It says I think I understand. I'm trying to picture it happening at least. It can be tough. So maybe if there's a video, maybe I can grab a video here. Let's see here. Of an S turn. We need a good dog fight. Something like that.
We're back.
Is this? No, what was that? That was just some rando. What about? Let's see here. That's she here. There's so many videos. Actually, this might actually really help with the visualization. I mean, it's pretty cinematic. I'm not sure that one will work though. What about this one? Oh, that's just some bogus. Oh, that one? No, that's just a chase kill. What about? There's too many. I can't go through them all. This one might be alright though. What about this one? Oh, this is an AC match. Okay, this will be a little better. Unless this is... Oh yeah, that's the cutty that... Try spinning, that's a good trick. What about this one? Actually, this one I can use. This one I can use to help visualize what's going on. Okay, so this one I can use. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's just slow it down so that we can really break it down for people, because the visualization of movement is really important, right? So right here, I'm asking you a question. What direction am I floating relative to him? Am I floating 90 from him, or am I going right towards him? Let's answer that question in chat. So what's my relative transversal? And by transversal, I mean like a low transversal is something is moving far away from you, but it's moving in line with you, so you're on target. But if it's moving across from you, so you have to track like a skeet shooter, that's high transversal. So the higher transversal you have, the harder it is to hit, right? Towards him. Wrong. So I'm strafing. Look at my indicator here. I'm falling down relative to him, right? So I'm falling down as I'm arresting my motion. Now I'm coming in towards him. And that's what I mean. I look at the dust kicking up. Look at the direction it's coming, right? I might not really be able to see it that well, right? So for me, yeah, the dust is hard to see, but you can also tell by your indicator here, because that little indicator, look how it moves, right? So right here, see how it's down below me, right? That means that my direction is at a high angle, like pulling down, right? The TVI can tell that, yeah. Now my vector is in line. Now it's in line, right? And you can also tell because this little indicator here is telling you that's actually where your ship is going. My nose is offset from where I'm going, right? But notice how I put it up in the corner and I keep it within a cone of where he is, right? I keep it visual because I want to see it in front of me, because I want to move my way in towards him, right? So here we go into the attack. And again, that's like a standard corkscrew motion. See how he's moving with me on the turn, but I'm moving just a bit more, right? And then as we come in here, I'm actually pre-nosing. Like I'm actually turning before the turn. And again, my direction of travel is heading, so this would be, let me see here. This way? No, this way. Yeah, so on the screen you guys see, so it's opposite, so it's this. So yeah, I'm pushing that direction, right? But what I want to do is I want to go up this way, right? So the best way to do that is to roll, and so that my bottom thrusters are going to push up against me here as I pull around the corner. And again, you see these little space, these little right here, these little kind of like shows like the little space debris as you pull around the corner, right? And you very much like if you're flying a spaceship, right? Like I don't want to slide around my corner like this. Like I want to roll into my turn and pull up into it. I don't want to just kind of move like this way, because if I use my side thrusters to push, you know, it's going to be real slow. I'm just going to slide right out. What I want to do is I want to pull around the corner, right? Because my bottom thrusters are significantly more powerful than the rest. But Once I've done this, watch, look at the indicator here, right? That stays with the ship now. I don't push that indicator way up here and create all these weird angles, because what I want to do is I want to flatten out and I want to just pull towards the guy. That big 80s fatherhood vibes, right? Right, so here I go towards my target, right? I'm not sure if I pull an S-turn on him. Well, I'm getting shot up by somebody else there, but I should be all right. Okay, that's why I dipped, right? So I noticed you can see the tracers in the corner here, so I'm like, okay, I need to make a small vector change. I can just kind of, and again, right, it's all angles, right? So if I turn towards him, then my angle actually shortens, which makes it easier for him to hit me. But if I look at where he is, he's already kind of at like a 60-degree angle. All I got to do is dip my nose down so that relative to him, because again, right, the angle is 90, like he's almost 90 degrees offset to me now. So if I make a down strafe, like if you keep that visualization in your head, you're creating that angle difference, right? Because you know, you want to create a big angle change so that you don't get smoked, right? So there I do a little dip, and now he's at 20 something 100 meters, so he's out of distance, right? Now again, my indicator is still here, right? It's in that little cone. I say fighting inside the cone, or it'd be more like the cylinder, right? But you know, it's in where I want it to be, and this is where you can apply damage as you corkscrew your way in, right? So let's say this. Let's say Mr. Erebus here wanted to continue moving in this direction up here. Like he wants to make a nice wide turn because he's got lots of speed. So let's see what he does. He wants to make a nice wide turn. Okay, so now here's the difference. Why am I not doing an S turn here? Does anybody know why? Why am I not doing an S turn? That if he turns into you, he is no longer on target if he shoots you. He has too much energy coming in. Energy has something to do with it, but it's angle, right? So let's break this down a little slower because this is very important, right? He's drifting into your flight path. So as I set myself up here, right, I'm walking. See how his flight path is right here? See how it's kind of in line? I'm actually outside of it moving with him. So we're actually moving together. And I'm doing what's called wave patterning. So I'm actually, relative to him, I'm actually moving kind of in a wave. I'm just rolling a bit to the right, kind of moving like this, right? So to him, I'm actually, like he's trying to basically rate fight me, and I'm slowly making my way in on him. And what he sees on his screen is a ship moving in like this. Like I'm kind of rolling my way in slowly, right? Because I need to cross his nose and reverse the direction of the fight to get an S turn out of him, but it doesn't seem like it's worth it because I have to expend all this boost and energy just to make a small angle change in that direction. So let's screenshot this and draw something out because that's important. So let's see right here. So let's draw something out because this is exactly what was going on with. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk. So remember the previous picture, right? This is exactly what's happening in this scenario here that was happening in the picture, right? But what's happening is if we go, okay, so enemy is highlighted in red, so that's his flight path, right? There it is there, and off it is in the corner, right? That's his flight path. Remember I said, like, you know, he's most likely going to move in this direction, right? That's most likely, like, that's his pattern. He can move this way, right? Or he can try to start reversing the turn this way, which means he's going to slow down, right? So he's either going to go here, he's going to start to try to turn the fight around, which means he'll probably end up around here, or he might try to reverse the fight and go the opposite way. If he reverses to go this way, guess what? We strafe up and create the S turn because now we're reversing the side of the fight. Okay? I'll say that again. If he changes his pattern and he stops going all here, I strafe up and rotate. So now I'm fighting him in this turn as he goes this way. So that I'm on the outside again as I'm going in. Okay? And it reverses the fight. Okay? That's when I say like I'm going for a reversal. That's what I'm talking about. Right? So if I If I want to get the better of this guy, I don't want to do an S turn here. And again, S turns are tools in the toolbox. It doesn't mean that you have to continuously always use it, right? And again, if you're out of position, which means you're in a roll situation, let's say, because if he keeps moving in this direction, my bottom thrusters are already lined up pushing my arrow this way. So I'm already in a good position because I can create the most deflectional change, and I can do those kind of easy rolls and up strafes to kind of track him in this wave pattern, as it makes it difficult, because what he's going to see on his screen is his lead pip's going to go here, and it's going to go here, and it's going to go here, but it's smooth, it's gradual, it's smooth, it's gradual, it's concise, it's professional. Like, that's what I want you guys to be, right? Now, you can make this a much more binary type movement, which you see a lot of guys doing with mouse and keyboard, and it kind of feels like this. And again, we had some individuals today in Arena Commander that were kind of abusing that. But the point is that I don't think is going to be around forever. Like, the game is going to move towards a much more methodical way of flight, like we have here, where you have to smoothly translate. Otherwise, if you translate aggressively, you're going to have problems. Either your pattern's going to be basically nice and tiny like this, which means it's too small to really make a meaningful difference to shake off any damage, or you're going to throw your own aim off because every time you do that, it's going to move your nose. Who knows, right? And the fixed assist helps dampen that kind of behavior, but it's still a pattern set, right? So the important thing is changing your vector 90 to the target's velocity, even though a wave pattern or S turn. Right. A wave pattern is if you've matched. Let me tell you this. A wave pattern is if you've matched the velocity and the pattern. So I'm moving with him on this corkscrew. So what I'm doing is I'm wave patterning as I move towards my target. Okay? If he rotates the fight, I strafe up and I roll 180 degrees and I continue to track as I move through that turn. If he rolls again, then we basically keep trading, and it's basically an S-turn pattern. Now, let's say he wants to play a different game. Let's say, okay, he wants to play. Where does he want to go? He continues in his pattern, but now look at this. He's arrested some of his motion. Like, I've actually followed him through that turn, and now he has what's called low transversal, right? Low transversal being he doesn't have a lot of movement across my screen very much. He's very in line with my nose, right? Now he's trying to build that speed up again, and again, look at the direction he's going and look at where my position is and look at where my thrusters are positioned. I'm continuing to kind of force him into that turn fight, and he's not orientating himself properly. He's fighting in yaw now, right? As I keep moving around him, and then here's this just the nail in the coffin. He turns his nose right here. He turns like right here because he's not continuing this way, and I can see his nose wants to go this way. So there's only one reason. There's only one reason that you would do that, and that's to run away. So you'll see me right here. Think quickly. I'm going to push. See the I guess you could say the dust is pushing me this way. My TVI says that I'm on the outside of him and to the left. So what I want to do is I want to roll a little more so I get that to counter that movement as quick as possible, so I can fly as straight as possible. Because the faster I counter that, which I did there, see now I'm bringing my TVI nice and close to him because I'm lining it up with him, and I'm boosting hard and I'm flattening my trajectory out as much as I can because I want to chase. I don't want to continue to kind of move around. And again, same pattern, right? I'm outside on the left on him as I corkscrew my way in, and I'm always moving, and eventually he takes enough damage and he's dead, right? So that was an explanation on S-turns. I hope that was entertaining. We might have to clip that whole section and just make a video.